Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, we want to take a moment to express our heartfelt condolences for the student who tragically lost their lives in the recent milestone school plane crash in Bangladesh. Our thoughts are with their families and loved ones. If anyone affected by this tragedy needs support or assistance, please reach out the Facebook page of Freedom and Justice Alliance. Welcome to today's international virtual discussion titled The Anatomy of Bangladesh 2024 July August Crisis. This is Jeba Sajida Mo, and it's an honor to host this important session, which is organized by the Freedom and Justice Alliance in association with the European Bangladesh Forum, South Asia Democratic Forum, the Working Group of Bangladesh in Germany, and the Art Civilization Network. This event brings together voices from across the globe, united by a common concern of justice, accountability, human rights, and democracy in Bangladesh. We aim to reflect the criticality on the events that unfolded in Bangladesh during July uh, and August of 2024, their root causes, consequences, and the path forward. We're privileged to have two honorary speakers with us today, Mr. William Sloan, former jurist from Canada, Mr. Paulo Casaca, Executive Director of SADF and former member of European Parliament, Belgium. We're truly honored to have you both with us. So, without further ado, let's dive into the next phase of our session. The 2024 Bangladesh movement was about the abolition of freedom fighter quota. But later it was hijacked by the Islamist group and the deep state actors. It was turned into an assault to secularism and a culture counter revolution against the ideals of the liberation war in 1971. Our goal for today's session is to explore and uncover answers to some of the questions that remain unresolved. So, my first question would be for Mr. Kasaka. What triggered the movement in July 2024 in Bangladesh and what actually happened?
Mm. Well, good evening, good morning, good
Good evening.
afternoon. We are
Yeah.
live all over the world. And Zaba, you are in Australia. I would like to start by um, following your words, subscribing to them, um, giving my sincere condolences for the latest victims of this absolutely unjustified, atrocious crime against humanity that the Bangladesh military forces did in Bangladesh, as well as to all of the other victims. There are hundreds of thousands of people that are held either without a proper accusation or a complete fabricated accusation. There are hundreds of victims, fatal victims. There are those who had to escape the country in the wake of this tremendous tragedy that we are witnessing. And to all of them, my thoughts, my condolences, and let me tell you that I'm really thinking a lot about you. And
Thank you so
yes,
much.
yes. July 2024. I mean, uh, I was there. I actually observed the elections in January 2024. I did understand what was going to happen. I actually did understand uh, before that within the European Parliament when we speak about the Qatar Gate. Everybody speaks about the Qatar Gate, and trying to say, oh, it was a matter of football. Well, of course, it was not a matter of football. It was a matter of influencing the main decision bodies of the European Parliament in terms of human rights, namely the Subcommittee for Human Rights, that was nicknamed the Qatar Gate Subcommittee, and the think tank of the European Parliament, that was the central part of this influence operation. And the books, the reports presented by the NGOs Carragher, they are available and they are public, and we just have to read them to understand what was that policy. And the policy was obviously to target, among others, Bangladesh. Bangladesh, since it decided to persecute some of the most important leaders of the genocide of 71 and actually use the capital punishment to some of the Jamaat-e-Islam leaders, was on the blacklist, was a target for the Islamist powers. And as I did understand through these last years were very crucial in understanding this, they have been really infiltrating all of the West, the European Union, the United States, and you can see their influence. And so this was a major reason. Of course, I'm not saying that there were not internal reasons. There was not a feeling that well, the time had come to change governments. The feeling was there. I saw it in January, blaming the government for solely for this. I think it's quite unfair.
Yeah.
Bangladesh had a big problem, which is that the main opposition party had a leader that was exiled in London because he was convicted, and that was a fair trial, quite a fair trial,
Yeah.
for terrorism, for massive terrorism. I mean, this guy has really commanded a bomb attack that murdered dozens of people. That's a fact. And the court procedures existed. Actually, the United Kingdom has no problems in receiving him, but did not want to receive Sheikh Hasina, which is very, very telling for the United Kingdom. But this was a problem. And of course, there were many problems. A lot of the people thought, well, 15 years are past, it's perhaps time for us to change government. I am not denying this. There was a popular, reception from a movement that claimed to be alternative. You know, this issue of the quota was very unpopular. As a matter of fact, I did understand that. I actually interviewed one of the leaders of the previous anti-quota system of 2018. But, you know, I could see that Bangladesh did have all what is necessary for free and democratic elections on the basis. I mean, the structure is there, the procedures are there, some of the things have to be changed, and of course that at the top level, the issue is different. But on the ground, contrarily to what I've seen written by organizations that are funded directly or indirectly by the Soros machine, that claim things that are completely fantasies, I think that
Yeah.
a system was there for free and fair elections. But I spoke too much, perhaps, already, so I'm sorry, Mr.
Um,
Selwyn. So perhaps now for other opinions, please.
yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Sloan if he wants to add up something with you on this very particular question about the movement of July 2024. I'm asking Mr. Sloan.
Hi,
Yeah.
you hear
Hello,
me?
Mr.
You hear me?
Sloan. Yeah. Do you like to add something with him?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
like
that,
to know. Yeah. Please continue.
yeah, I think that uh, we have to remember that the electoral system that he was talking about is parallel to the one we have in Canada, what's called first past the post, which is that you don't need an absolute majority. You just have to be in each riding for each member of parliament. You just have to be the person who has the most votes among those who ran for election. And when you have a coalition of 14, 15 parties from the left presenting one single candidate, and then the right-wing parties each presenting their own candidates, the mathematics is not complicated to see how that can result in election victories one after another. Because the split vote on the left is what kills the left around the world. And the united left is what has been the success of that 15 or 14 or whatever party alliance in Bangladesh over the past couple of decades. The fact that the Awami League is the oldest and the biggest party in Bangladesh and the one with the most at the base, the most members at the base, and by far, when we talk about the other parties, we're talking about BNP, which was founded by the army, Jamaat and the others, which were founded by the Islamic fundamentalists, fascists for the most part, and other small military-based parties. They all run their own candidates. And when there's only one candidate for the left, it's not complicated for them to win elections. They just have to get their people out to vote. So the right wing has become increasingly frustrated. They tried boycotts a couple of times, but you boycott the election, obviously you're not going to win. But that doesn't mean it was an unfair election. It just reflects the fact that you were certain from the polls that you were not going to win. Now we have to remember the Awami League won the election in 70 under the Pakistani army, and that was a landslide. Yeah. They won the election in 96, and they were not controlling the government when they won it. And then the other three that they won, the first one was the army was running the show. So they have, they don't need to be in control of the electoral system to win handily in the elections. And this is a great frustration for the right wing. I think that in the past years, the World Bank, for one, seemed to have been fairly happy with the way things were going in Bangladesh. I remember reading in July last year an excerpt from a World Bank report, which said that in the previous 15 years, the indicators for Bangladesh had been excellent all across the board. And, that reflects itself in how people vote, because they're not stupid. They can see things are going well. You're getting roofs on the houses, tin roofs instead of straw. You're getting little electric motors on the rickshaws. You're getting schools going up everywhere. You're getting clinics going up around the country. These things are very visible, and they win elections. It's not, you don't have to cheat to win elections. When you do things like that, you win elections because people say, well, the others were not doing this, and they're not talking about doing this. This is what we want, so we're going to keep voting for this. I think that the rapprochement with the BRICS, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, on the part of Sheikh Hasina's government, is something that has gotten the foreign powers upset with them. We've seen recently how upset Mr. Trump is with the BRICS. And we know that Bangladesh joined the BRICS Bank a couple of years ago. Sheikh Hasina was complaining last year that the Americans wanted Saint Martin Island for military purposes. We may see some developments on that, coming up. So when we have all of that, to look at the campaign that they started on, when we're talking about those quotas, we're talking about 900 jobs. 900 jobs in a country of 180 million people. 900 jobs total each year under the quota. And then to look at it again and see that the quota, as it was last year, had not been imposed by Sheikh Hasina's government, but by the High Court, after Sheikh Hasina had canceled the quotas a few years ago. So this was just an entry of something that looks good for the foreigners. Oh yes, a bunch of students who want to get jobs. But they couldn't be asking Sheikh Hasina for it because it was the court that was ruling on it.
Yeah, it was the court.
So then,
I have another question for you.
So what I'm suggesting is that
Continue.
this was the opener for a color revolution. And in the end, well, by the time we got to August, Sheikh Hasina's departure was very similar to the departure of Jean-Bertrand Aristide in Haiti 20 odd years ago, and the departure of Evo Morales a few years ago in Bolivia. It's the army that decides who stays in power and who doesn't. It's not a couple of thousand students in the streets that overpowers the government of a country. It's when the army decides yes or no. Are they going to stand in front of the students, or are they going to say it's time to leave?
On this account, I would like to add a question that did the security forces on that July movement use any lethal or military grade weapon in that July revolution?
Well, I haven't been studying this inside Bangladesh, but I noted that in the little text that was circulated before the seminar, that they mentioned one high-ranking officer who was one of the advisors, who had noted that one of the bullet wounds came from a bullet that could not have been issued to police. Now, and there's comparisons made with Ukraine. What we have to remember in Ukraine is that there were most likely some snipers who were not government snipers who were shooting at the crowds, just to then claim that the government was shooting and use that as to say, well, we have martyrs, they're massacring us, we have to rise up. This may be what happened. I don't know. It's happened in other countries. It's happened. I know they were doing it in Venezuela a few years ago. They were shooting at their own people, killing them, also shooting at police officers. So, the use of arms to use deaths to get the crowds angry is a very, very old tactic. It goes back to before the time of guns, even.
Yeah, as far as we know, in July 2024, the government officially ordered the use of rubber bullets to control the protest. However, Brigadier Shakhat Hussain, who had been appointed as the home advisor at that time, he stated that the bullet found in student body was 7.62 NATO round, the same type of bullet commonly used by ISIS and the Pakistani military. And followed by this comment, he was demoted from his position. So, what is your take on this particular
This is
issue?
after August. This is not in Sheikh Hasina's government.
No,
this
no,
is the
no.
home
After
advisor
August.
after, for Yunus. Yes. Well, that's what I was saying. The bullets most likely did not come. Some of them, at least, did not come from the police. And once you've got, imagine police here, or where you are. If people start killing police, probably the police will start killing people in the streets, because
For self-defense?
they get emotional, and they're ordinary people in a wide way. They get emotional if their colleagues at work have been killed in the line of
Yeah.
duty.
Or
Then
it could be an act of self-defense.
they're going to be looking for revenge, probably, and there perhaps some of that happened.
Yeah.
They're not letting anybody examine this closely. That's quite clear. There's a blanket over all of this, and what we're getting is I read the United Nations report quite carefully, and they started off by saying that this couldn't be used as evidence.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to read that the ICT is saying, well, this is our evidence, after the United Nations says, well, you can't use this as evidence. What they were doing is they were meeting people who were in jail and collecting anonymous testimony from people in jail. And we're supposed to believe
Thank you so much, Mr. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Sloan. Now, I'd like to go back to Mr. Kasaka. I have a few questions about the culture. Um, we have witnessed the attacks, multiple attacks on cultural and historical site on and monuments, and the targets on public infrastructure. What is your view on that? Why they were attacking the cultural and historical sites and demolishing the monuments and destroying the museums? Why were they doing that?
Yeah, I mean, they are showing their true face. And what they really are aiming at is to destroy what was achieved in 71. It's clearly that. And of course, as Mr. Sloan just said, they are also destroying all this golden period of prosperity that coincided with Sheikh Hasina's government. And that kept most people happy and voting for it, of course. How could this happen? There was a massive disinformation campaign, as I've never seen before, to taint Sheikh Hasina as a terrible dictator, as he would be some sort of North Korean dictator. Completely absurd lies, disinformation was used. And then we are seeing what is fundamentally a plan of these Islamic fanaticists, the fascists. I also use this term all the time. The very same that were slaughtering people in 71. They are the ones who are really the kings of the game. Of course, there is also Mr. Yunus. I think Mr. Yunus is a banker. He has always been a banker. He's not the main actor in this story, but he is an important actor. And actually, I've been reading his nomination, and his bank nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I could not believe it. But I've been lecturing economics for a long time. Economics is my specialty. And the people who drafted this nomination, they don't have a clue of what they are speaking about. They don't know nothing of what banking is. And so fundamentally, someone that is as a mentality, an usury mentality, the worth of the banker, someone that actually never respected democratic elections. And that's clear. Every time he spoke about it, he was very clear, even now. But he was also clear 20 years ago. It comes as the freedom, democracy given to the country. It's a complete invention. There is nothing to do with the reality. He's a banker, and what he has been doing is completely consistent with what he has been doing all the time. He's just looking mostly at his interests. But who is running the show are really the Islamists. And these deep states, it was not only the American, it was much more than the American, that actually were very, very crucial in doing this. I mean, they have to explain why the hell did they do it, because I don't think that they really have a capacity to do so, Actually, the military in Bangladesh, as we know, were mostly coming from the former Pakistan. It was the army was formed not out of the freedom fighters, but out of those who were members of the Pakistan army. And actually, Sheikh Hasina tried to cope with the situation, with the military institutions, try to appease the military institutions, try to appease the Islamists up to a point, not really forgiving the top perpetrators of the genocide of 71. But otherwise, I could see that, going to Bangladesh in 2012. I mean, I couldn't see burqas, niqabs and so on. And last time in 2024, I mean, they were massive in some parts. Some of the industrial belt of Dhaka, they were massive. And this is a clear indicator that all things had gone. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why we are seeing such fanatic violence, so widespread all over the country. Of course, it did not start in July, August. It's the conditions for it to appear were there before. But the most important thing is that we had a coup against freedom, democracy, human rights, minorities. And this coup was sponsored, was supported by the Western institutional framework. These are facts. Then why did they do it? It's another story. We have interpretations. But these are facts. And this is absolutely unforgivable. We cannot tolerate this situation. I think that all those who believe in democracy, not speaking about left or right, I mean, whoever believes in democracy should ask their governments, what have they done in Bangladesh? Because that's exactly what they have done in Afghanistan 3 years before, by the way. It's the same logic, the same perspective, the same enchaining of facts. That's the very first question we have to ask. And then, of course, we have to demand a clear information. We are entitled to know what's going on. I mean, we are entitled to have our communication to confess the following. The military did nothing in July, August 2024, did nothing. Quite on the contrary, it just made it be known to Sheikh Hasina that she'd better leave the country. I mean, there was a retired high-grade official that said that in public, and he was conveying the position of the military. But now, the first time there was a demonstration against the fascist regime, I mean, they murdered people. They occupied the place. They are going, even in the rivers of the region, they are going there all the time. They arrested children. They did all sorts of, and the military did it. Not the special forces. And by the way, all of the talk about the human rights that were not being respected during Sheikh Hasina, I mean, where is any procedure against the special forces, RAB or whatever, that actually perpetrated these human rights violations? If they were concerned with it, I mean, 1 year after, why did they nothing against it? Nobody was persecuted. I mean, this is completely a joke. Of course, that things were not ideal, and most of what was not well was exactly because Sheikh Hasina was trying to get hold and to appease the Islamists and the military. That's it. No, not a reverse. The problem was this, not that she was a dictator going after the people. It was completely absurd. This is propaganda. This is not true. The fundamentals of the electoral proceedings were very good. I could see that. I mean, I've been in many countries seeing elections, and I can see that. I can see that very easily when something is good and something is not good. So the fundamentals were there. But of course, when the main opposition party decides to boycott the election, actually, these boycotts were a bit orchestrated and made part of the campaign to make this coup inevitable. I mean, there's little one can do. So I think that the first task we have, all of us, we that believe in values, that believe in the will of the people, is to have the truth to come up. This report of the United Nations, I think it is absolutely a disgrace. I think that it should have never, I mean, the way it is framed is absolutely in a propaganda way. It's not possible to accept it. There is a lot to be investigated. Of course, this issue of the caliber of the bullets that killed several people is a very important one. The fact that one of the advisors was caught in the airport with exactly the same caliber of bullets in his baggage when he was not supposed to have any sort of weapons in his baggage is very telling. who really did it? And of course, all of this was ignored, completely ignored by this United Nations report. The United Nations report that, for instance, does not make any, does not speak about all the what the minorities organizations told them. I mean, it's really a very, very bad sign from the international institutions. And so it makes our task very, very daunting. But we have to do it. We have to fight for the truth, whatever the cost might be.
Thank you so much. I'd like to know, we all heard about the what triggers the movement and what's happening, who were involved. I'd like to know what is the long-term consequences of this movement of July, and I'd like to know both of your perspective about this, Mr. Sloan and Mr. Kasaka.
Just a brief come back to the cultural question. You know, the last time I was in Bangladesh, I was visiting Shahriar Kabir, and he was making a movie. And we went to Kushtia, where I met with the people from Lalon's shrine, and I sang with them. Now, Lalon is a personage from Bangladesh's history who was known for, when he was asked whether he was Hindu or Muslim, he would always change the subject. He wouldn't answer.
Yeah, very spectacle.
And I mean, he was a forerunner because, you know, we have to remember that the 4 planks of Sheikh Mujib's platform were democracy, socialism, secularism, and Bengali nationalism. And when they were talking about in Gopalganj that they want to get rid of Mujibism, certainly the secular plank is one that they want to attack, and quite definitely the socialism plank they want to attack. And probably they want to attack the Bengali nationalism because they have no interest in any kind of union with West Bengal because there are all too many non-Muslims there. You know? I think that what they're trying to do, and you know, they've already banned the Awami League without without any elected government or anything. This is basically just a military decree. Because all the laws and decrees that they are making are backed only by the army. That's the only structural support that they have constitutionally, in quotes, is the army. So these are all military decrees, and the army has decided that the Awami League has to go. Of course, Jamaat is the spokesperson for this campaign, and now the NCP, which I would call basically Jamaat light, or Jamaat in civilian clothing or something, because it is just a variant on Jamaat, of course. So what they're trying to do is bring in a non-secular and a very non-secular society where, if they want to set up elections, that Awami League or some other party like them cannot win, because that's what they're looking to do when they're trying to find a new electoral structure, is one where the people can't win, one where the elite can win. Perhaps they should consult with Augusto Pinochet's legal advisors in Chile, from the dictatorship in Chile, because he came up with a very interesting legal structure, which was very undemocratic, but which on the face of it had people at least voting. Although the guy who wrote it up, they can't talk to him anymore because he was assassinated. But this is the kind of future that I think that they're trying to build for Bangladesh, a more and more structurally fascist future, where they can eliminate the left parties, where they can eliminate the idea of secularism. I mean, it's not accidental. They went after somebody's house a few months ago, and the people in the neighborhood, that's the neighborhood where you have about 5 million garment workers, and they went to protect the house of their former MP after this mob decided they were going to burn the house down. So what did the police and the army do? Well, they attacked the crowd that defended the house, not the arsonists. And then to react to that, they announced their devil hunt, which is a local version of a witch hunt, resulting in tens of thousands of detentions on purely administrative basis. There's no criminality involved. I think that on the tens of thousands of people arrested, they found a few dozens of weapons out of tens of thousands of arrests. And the most recent one in Gopalganj, there they've targeted the area which has the highest percentage of Hindu population in all of Bangladesh. So it's not they're targeting the areas where the Awami League would get the most support because of who lives in those areas. And the working people who are interested in the social aspects, and the Hindus who are interested in the secularism aspects of the program. These are the things that they want to eliminate. And of course, democracy being something that causes problems for them because they can't use it to win. I would assume that they want to modify what passes for democracy. So this unfortunately is the future, and it may erupt in some sort of armed struggle at some point if they continue like this, because people will take just so much, and something is going to explode.
Yeah, thank you so much for your observation, Mr. Sloan. Now I'd like to go back to Mr. Kasaka. I would like to address the same question, and I'd like to know if Bangladesh is becoming the next Afghanistan.
Yeah, I used to follow an expression which was the ABC strategy: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Kashmir, because in Portuguese, Kashmir is written with a C, not with a K. And that's what I've seen. That's how I've seen, in the last few years materialized what I saw coming. I think most of the people in the world do not realize that Bangladesh is actually one of the biggest countries in the world. It's not really a lost country somewhere in Africa or in South America. It's one of the biggest countries in the world, and its transformation into a fanatic Islamist country has tremendous consequences for all of us. Of course, for the Bangladeshis to start with, which are the prime victims, but it is a tremendous earthquake that has been that is destroying and that is really threatening peace and stability all over the world. And this is made, from within the deep states of the West. That's the crucial issue from my point of view. Not because they try to say, oh yes, because we have a military bases. That's what they made this propaganda for a long time, and they had some tourist American soldiers by Cox's Bazar. It's the strategy and humanitarian corridor. A lot of nonsense. Things that make no sense whatsoever that are sent to the eyes. I mean, because no strategic interest, no, nothing. There is nothing. I've been saying that for years, and I am I'm telling you, just wait and see. There is nothing. No, but of course, in the business of all these guys that made this possible. Oh, I'm certain that for them it's strategically very important, for their business. But for the West, nothing. I mean, you have a country now, Bangladesh, that is mimicking Pakistan. It's becoming a very close ally to China and to Islamic fanatics, just like Pakistan. So, which is one of the major problems we have in the world. So this is the result of this diplomacy of people, and I speak with them. I have them here in Brussels, and I've been several times in Washington, and sometimes I see. It's unbelievable how some of them, of course, they have reasons to act differently, but some are just plain idiots. I'm sorry. I have no other expression. They don't know what they are doing. They have never been in the ground. They never met Shahriar Kabir. Let's put it that way. Shahriar Kabir, and I've been repeating this, was the most important, most influential person for me to understand what jihadism is about. Shahriar Kabir is absolutely, his dimension goes beyond Bangladesh. It
Yeah,
is
couldn't agree
really
more.
an international personality, and of course that's why they want to kill him. Obviously, they have to. Shahriar Kabir, it was one of their main targets. They want to finish with him for obvious reasons. What we have to understand is this struggle is putting all of us together. This idea that there is, people are fundamentally different because of their religion. Of course, religion is an important, for some, more important than for others, factor in identity, in the way, in rights, in a lot of things. Of course, yes. But this idea that this makes people completely different, and that women, if they are Muslims, they love to be beaten and they love to be put hidden, and not being allowed to go out of the house. It's completely crap. It's not true. Human beings are human beings. Women are women. Fundamentally, we are
Absolutely.
all human beings. That's what we have to understand, more than any other thing. So I see things very bleak in Bangladesh, and I only see an alternative, which is for Westerners to understand what is going on and to ask their politicians what the hell are they doing and who they are supporting and why. That's it.
Thank you so much. I'd like to address some recent events that's happening around this month. That's the NCP's march to Gopalganj. Some says it was a provocation and a threat to demolish the grave of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and others says it's their right because they are now the government. But the march cost the life of 5 people officially and 15 people unofficially. So, what is your thought on this issue? And I'd like to listen to Mr. Sloan as well,
All right.
if,
Well,
if you both can. Yeah.
as I was saying, Gopal Ganj is the region in Bangladesh which has the highest Hindu population. And for a Muslim fundamentalist party to go and do a march there, they're obviously being provocative. It's also the place where Sheikh Mujib was born. It's the place
Yeah.
where Sheikh Hasina was born. And it's an area where the Awami League has always won the elections. And they're going in and staking out a space. They're talking about now about an end to Mujibism. They've invented a new term,
Yeah.
Mujibism. I think that what they're talking about is democracy, socialism, secularism, and Bengali nationalism. They want to get rid of that and replace it with Islamic fundamentalism and something like ISIS. And they have to, they're whether they wanted to actually demolish the grave or not, it's quite possible because they already demolished the museum with their bulldozer march. They're definitely taking aim and trying to eradicate the Awami League as a party and as a movement. And you have to remember that the Awami League is what unites the left. When I was in Bangladesh in 2008, when Sheikh Hasina was in detention, I had a meeting in the Sonargaon lobby with Inu and Khan Menon, and they said, "Please tell Sheikh Hasina, stay here, because we need you to unite all the forces of the left." She is like the Lula of Bangladesh. They want to get rid of her because she can unite those different forces which can oppose those fascists and Islamic fundamentalists. So it's going to take I don't know if BRICS can play a role in that. We've got, Mr. Trump is a wild card at this point in world politics. So things are in a jumble all over the place. But I think that a concerted movement inside, and there'll be more people killed. There'll be more people killed because the army's not going to stop shooting because people continue. And at some point, people may start shooting back. I don't know. But this situation is coming to a crisis, and it's not going to continue. They want to, I think they would like to wait as long as possible to have elections, because elections are not something that will make them look good. So they're talking about different dates, but I think they're going to keep trying to postpone for one reason or another, because what they want to do is pacify all the forces of the left so that they can keep a tight control and prevent the left from running in the elections. They won't boycott, they'll just kick them out.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kasaka, would you like to add something on this particular issue?
Well, yeah, of course, that we have seen, all monuments and museums and symbols of Bangladesh independence and of its founders have been destroyed, attacked. People have been arrested, and of course, that people there in Gopalganj were expecting the same, and of course, the perpetrators. If they would not do it now, it's for a matter of opportunity, but that's what they intended to do. So the resistance of the population was very much justified, and there was nothing that could justify the massive slaughter done by the army in gruesome circumstances, because the videos and the photos are there, and they cannot be denied. Nothing like that was done in 2014, July, August. So the United Nations made such, such a big fuss and, so much propaganda on something that actually did not see at all the level of violence that we are seeing now from the army. There was there were police forces, of course. I mean, and actually, that's one of the issues that this report of the United Nations ignored completely. I mean, there I've been seeing estimates of thousands of policemen that have been possibly killed during this action. This was no peaceful act, especially after July the 15th. The weapons were there. Obviously, it was not peaceful at all. And a lot of the policemen that shoot, they were shooting for their lives, So it's completely preposterous the way that all of it has been looked at. I think that we need an enormous movement. My point of view is that I don't see, I've been a socialist member of the European Parliament. By the way, our legends are mixed. I have Mr. Sloan's legend and he has mine. But I've been a socialist member of the European Parliament, and I've been, on human rights fights for most of my life. But I think that the issue here is really to understand that we have a fanatic threat that is threatening all of us. And within our countries, we have a lot of people that are very permissive to these fanatics. Some of them for material interests, some others because they don't understand what they are doing. Just to give an example, Al Jazeera training institution claimed very recently that it already trained 75,000 press people in the world since 2004. 75,000. Imagine what this is, among various other things. So the permeability of our institutions to money, and to money coming from those who hate freedom and democracy, is a tremendous problem. Is, I think, the most important of the problems. The lack of transparency within the West, the lack of accountability. It's absolutely not acceptable, and I think it is the heart of the problems we are facing, and we have to really to react to this reality, or otherwise we are going for very, very rough times in Bangladesh and in all over the world.
Thank you so much for your thoughtful discussion. And we're almost at the end of the session. I have the last question for both of you. I would like to hear from both of you. So, the movement in July initially aimed to abolish the freedom fighter quote. quota, and that's how they call quota. And they wanted to ensure a merit-based recruitment system. But now, after achieving the goal, quotas have been introduced in every direction. So anyone who took part in that very movement and now being given priority in university admissions and government jobs. So what is your do you think the movement was ever really about the quota?
Well, it was about them not being included in the quota. We have no problem with quotas. It just they wanted them to be the ones to
Yeah,
have
where they're
priority.
not included.
Absolutely. You just made the synthesis. Of course, they want quotas for themselves, for benefiting themselves, but nobody else. That
Now this is
was
100% quota. Previously it was just some percentage, 30 or 10%, 20, 30. Now it's 100%. So it's hypocritical, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
So do you want to
that's what
elaborate this?
that's what military dictatorships are for, to be hypocritical.
Mhm.
I remember in 2008 when I was in Bangladesh, they were talking, and the military were running the show. Moeen was running the show. They were talking about how they were cleaning things up. And I met a young Indo-British woman who had been taken to the cleaners by a little operation down in Chittagong in the special zone there. They took her money and they took it with glee, So they're not going to clean things up. They're going to make things dirty, and they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, this is very sad. So um so this is the end of our session. Thank you so much, Mr. Sloan and Mr. Kasaka, for your thoughtful and powerful contribution. Do you like to add anything else before we end?
Free Shahriar Kabir.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, nailed to
absolutely
that.
subscribe. Really is Shahriar Kabir. He is the most outstanding intellectual from the Muslim world on secularism that I've ever met. Release him as soon as possible. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. We also hope for that. I'd like to ask about one question that what do you see the future of Bangladesh under the rule of Yunus, Dr. Yunus?
Well, I think that when we will not stay there for a long time. I mean, for various reasons, but he will be happy to with the good business he has done, and he will be happy to pass the the portfolio to the Islamic fascists and the military and so on. He will be very glad to do so, provided that his business continues to be protected as it has been.
I think that in Bangladesh they will not use the word pork barrel, but that's what he'll be passing on is the pork barrel.
Mhm.
Pork barrel
Thank you
is
so much.
where you
Yeah.
collect the corruption money.
Mhm.
Yeah, we all hope that
Mhm.
the Bangladesh see a better future. We don't know under whom, but we want all wish for. We have the best interest of Bangladesh in our heart. So thank you, Mr. Swan and Mr. Kasaka, for your thoughtful and powerful contribution. It was an wonderful session with you, and a very vital discussion on justice, accountability, and the future of democracy in Bangladesh. So this is the end of today's session. We'll be back soon with our next session. Till then, stay connected, stay engaged, and stay informed. Thank you all for being with us.